Hi, everyone. Good Monday afternoon to you. It's regional weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. It's a little bit after 4 o'clock here Central Time, and I wanted to get this update in early because we have fresh information in terms of how things are going to evolve with the severe weather threat over the next couple days. We have a little threat tonight, mainly hail. We'll talk about that. And then the bigger threat comes, as we mentioned last night during the broadcast, as we get into tomorrow afternoon and especially tomorrow evening. Now, in terms of threat level, it hasn't gone up at all right? Not much has changed in way of thinking. We're just getting a better idea of how this is all going to come together with the fresh model data that's in. And I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, we did talk about this last night. There is a threat for a few tornadoes out of this, and this isn't tonight. Tonight, I'm not expecting that. Tonight, hail is going to be our main threat, but really tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, with the development of these thunderstorms that we're expecting. So that's kind of the synopsis of everything. We'll kind of dive into the details here in a second, but obviously, I wanted to get this information to you sooner rather than later. I'm also locked up this evening, so it's kind of twofold, right? I do think it's important you have this. So if anyone's watching this and it's not 4:10 Central Time, you're watching this later on Monday evening, that's okay. This information isn't going to be outdated. We'll have another update, obviously, and multiple updates probably tomorrow as we go throughout the day. But this information is going to stay the same. So that's the beauty of Facebook Live, is that this broadcast will live on our Facebook page. You can go back and watch it at any time and get the information you need from it. All right. Bonus broadcasts. I want to thank our sponsors, tigerplumbing.net, place to go. If you need a plumber, PSA, those are public service adjusters in Northwest Indiana. They do all your insurance claims. It's publicserviceadjusting.com. stjudehouse.org is our nonprofit around domestic violence. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso, and Ewing MECH for all your HVAC needs. All great family-owned businesses. All right, so let's jump in. I want to start with this. This is kind of the star right now. What a day, right? What a day. It continues to be quite the day outside. Hopefully you have windows open. Hopefully you've been outside today. That the trend just continues. We're going to remain mild all through the evening. If you want to grill out tonight, it's great weather for that. It's going to stay mild. We're even adding a little bit of humidity as well, so it doesn't feel quite as cold, right? It feels kind of summer-like with moisture in the air, so there's that. We've shattered the record today. Last check, we were at 69 degrees in Valpo. Our record was 63. So I knew we were going to shatter it. There's that. We'll do it again tomorrow as well. At the Porter County Airport, records are kind of low. I think tomorrow's record at Porter County Airport is 58. So we're going to bury that. But remember, record keeping began at Porter County in terms of numbers. I think it was 97. So the records aren't quite as old as they are in Chicago. So there's that. So here's what we're dealing with. Notice how we have mainly clear skies. There are some clouds starting to blossom up. You know what I'm talking about in LaPorte County right now. You're seeing some cloud cover. There's also some high clouds working in from the west. But the bigger story is this system as it continues to evolve out towards Pacific Northwest. This area of low pressure up here, where I'm circling with my mouse, is going to combine with this strong subtropical jet stream. Both are going to come together and form quite the system across the Central Plain states. Especially with the temperature gradient coming in, because there's real cold air behind this. And it all is going to get kickstarted by an area of low pressure tonight that'll form up in the areas of the Dakotas. All right. That heads east, that drags the front with it. A new low will develop down towards the south. That's the one that we see activity with tomorrow. Okay. But notice, out in advance of all this, there's no Gulf of Mexico connection yet in terms of moisture with clouds. So we do have a lot of sunshine. We don't have any stratus layer clouds or anything like that. So we are going to get some sunshine once again tomorrow. All right. What I'm watching for tonight, right here, you see this little wave of energy coming through Illinois. What will happen as we get into the late evening and overnight hours, especially, a warm front's going to come through here, and that is likely going to fire some showers and thunderstorms. Severe weather threat is there tonight. It's low, and it's for hail because there's still some cold air aloft. Nothing's going to be rooted down here at the surface, so there's not a tornado threat tonight. It would be for hail and lightning. And I don't feel like everyone gets this tonight. The models have been all over the place in terms of where it develops. It's really hard to kind of grasp that. Some develop right over us. Some develop west of us, so we would get it. Some develop it east of us. So we're just going to kind of broad brush it with scattered pop-up storms tonight. Hail would be the primary threat. So, if you have the car outside and you have the option of bringing it in the garage, it might be safe to do so. But more than likely, a lot of you aren't going to wake up and have hail, overnight. So there's that. Not too concerned with tonight. In terms of the Storm Prediction Center, though, this is what they are thinking, and I agree with this. Here's your marginal risk. That's not a big risk, but this is for your hail tonight. This isn't even slight risk. This is a level 1 out of 5. And I don't like the levels. I don't like all that. I don't like the lines on this, but you have to draw it somewhere. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with. But notice the trend is the further east you go, the better threat of those hailers developing tonight. Okay, so that's that. Tomorrow is where, things get interesting. All right. We talked about this again on the broadcast last night. The slight risk has expanded. Really just, we're right in the epicenter of it in terms of where the risk potential is tomorrow. But it's expanded because the modeling doesn't really handle initiation very well. Every single model run's a little bit different. And so there's not real good consensus on where these storms fire up tomorrow. There's good consensus on when, which is afternoon into the evening, as we were alluding to yesterday. But in terms of exactly where they develop and how they evolve, that still is kind of up in the air. And that can be expected even 24 hours out, because we're not just forecasting timing of a front, okay, which normally has storms with it. We're forecasting development of thunderstorms in a chaotic environment that stretches, 4,000 square miles, whatever it happens to be. It's not 4,000 square miles, but you get the picture. It's very random, and there's a huge area, and we just need a poof to get things going tomorrow. And it just kind of matters on where that poof starts, okay? That's kind of the way of putting it. So the slight risk doesn't accompany us, but here's what comes with it. Pretty good hail risk tomorrow as well. We have upped the hail risk. I was talking last night in the broadcast. I thought wind and tornado threat would be high with some hail risk, but that hail risk is becoming a little bit higher as the air aloft is a little bit colder than I was expecting. Here's your wind risk. And then, this is what we need to talk about. And this is the reason for the broadcast. We do have a tornado risk, and to have a 5% risk, I think it's within 50 miles or 25 miles, something like that. Either way, that's pretty high for any time of the year. So the risk is certainly there for tomorrow for some tornadoes out of this. It's the same environment we talked about yesterday in the broadcast. In fact, there's a little bit more CAPE potential with this, but a couple of things we look for when we're forecasting severe weather is CAPE, which is convective available potential energy. That's how much juju or how much energy does the atmosphere have to be able to create storms, that go up high in the sky and really have some strength to them. And the CAPE is on the lower side. It's not off the charts, but it has come up. We are looking at a little bit more atmospheric juju tonight than what we were looking at last night. So that helps the storms to fire. And then the biggest thing with this is the shear. The shear is not very, but it's high with this. The shear, when we talk about that, is the ability just the ability for a storm to rotate. All right. Thunderstorms can rotate all the time, and they're usually harmless. It happens all the time in several different directions. There's speed shear and directional shear. Tomorrow's is mainly directional shear. And so what that means is the wind here at the surface is going to be coming from the south-southwest. Okay, so if you go outside, you'll feel the wind blowing at you from the south-southwest. As you go up into the sky, a couple thousand feet, suddenly that wind direction is not from the south-southwest, it's from the northwest and west. Okay, so as a cloud goes up into that, it also has to change with that wind direction, and to change, it has to churn. And so that's what causes those updrafts to churn and twist. And that's what we're dealing with tomorrow, okay, is a tornado threat. So hail and tornado are going to be the biggest threats tomorrow for many storms that do develop. So let's talk over the latest modeling right now, and then I'll be happy to answer questions at the end. But this is what we're dealing with in terms of tonight. Warm front goes through. This is the latest HRRR run. And notice how it doesn't even have anything developing over us, okay? It has all the storms firing up in eastern Indiana into Ohio, and those are your hailers, okay? So it has no rain on us tonight. Problem is, other models do, okay? So we have to kind of consider that. This is the latest NESS, which has some activity developing over us, but mainly out towards the east. And then the Euro and the GFS, two of our global models, have it developing right over us tonight. So what is one to think? It just matters where that initiation is. But either way, this is going to happen overnight tonight, not this evening, but tonight. Primary risk tonight would be hail from any storms. There is a chance that we don't even see storms tonight, that they would be east of here, okay? Tomorrow's where it gets a little bit more exciting, obviously, right? We'll have a strong south wind. We'll have gusts probably over 40 at times tomorrow. And as we go through time tomorrow, these storms, as that cold frontal boundary approaches, these storms are going to start to pop, okay? Yesterday, the model guidance and my thinking is that they would develop in areas of Illinois. We'd see them coming. Well, this front is a little bit quicker tonight, only by a couple hours, but that couple hours matters. And so as a result, the potential's there that these storms could pop over us instead of something that we're seeing coming in from the west. Okay. And the model guidance is picking up on that with that faster arrival of the front. So this is late tomorrow evening. This is getting into the evening dinner time and beyond. And the latest HRRR develops a pretty healthy line of storms, all supercells though, and right in and around the region. All right. You'll notice as we go through time here, the HRRR doesn't have any of our counties even seeing a thunderstorm tomorrow. All right. I would imagine that's going to change, but this is going to be kind of the nature of it where we don't have a solid line initially. We'll have pops on radar kind of in a line, but there'll be holes in it as well. Either way, these are the storms to watch again tomorrow evening because they are going to have supercell characteristics. They are going to have the ability to rotate, and they're also going to be producing some hail. All right. Hail's going to be very likely with these, any storms that do develop, right? And then as we go through time, the system's out of here, all right? So it's not a big window, but it's a window where we could have some real gnarly weather around here with these storms, okay? And that window continues to be tomorrow. Late afternoon is when we're going to put our antennas up, and then tomorrow evening is when I'm expecting it to pop. But this could speed up as well. This front has sped up even in the last 24 hours, so we could see it speed up as well. A couple things that we look at in terms of, and this isn't the only model that we look at. This is the model that I have the most faith in right now out of all of them is the HRRR. I think it's behaved pretty well in past severe weather events, and it's got a good handle on our temperatures and dew points. So as a result, I think it's got a better handle of the atmosphere than anything else. A couple other things we look at in terms of severe weather parameters. This is your CAPE and shear, okay, and anything over 1,000. So anything in blue is good enough to support severe weather. And you notice how we have this little ribbon tomorrow afternoon, evening, where we get some pretty good instability and we have some high shear with that as well. All right, so that's one of the things we're looking for. Then it's out of here. Our severe weather threat's over immediately. You'll know that because we'll go from 70 degrees to 27 degrees. Okay, once we hit 27 degrees, there's not going to be a problem with severe weather. In fact, I have us at 73 degrees tomorrow at 3 p.m. Okay, and then by 9 a.m. Wednesday, we should be down around 27 degrees. That is how sharp this temperature is going to drop tomorrow night once these storms move through. Just incredible. All right, so we've got the shear, we've got the CAPE. A couple other things we can look at. This is called supercell composite. This just shows how likely is it that storms that develop will be supercells, or how likely is it that they'll rotate? And this is, I mean, these are really good numbers coming in. Okay. So our storms tomorrow that develop are going to have a real good likelihood that they will rotate. All right. That sounds scary. Trust me, it happens all the time, but these numbers are pretty high. So we have to take them seriously. Okay. So that means any storm that can develop and do a real good updraft and have, 25,000 foot tops, which is fairly low, but it's high enough. Any storm that can develop and get big like that has the potential to rotate, which can lead towards tornado development. And that's why the risk is 5%, right? And notice how that heads out pretty quickly. Significant tornado parameter combines a bunch of different things in an algorithm that say, what are the chances for a tornado to develop? And you notice these numbers, it's not a real clear-cut map, but you notice how we get some spikes in here with the storms that do develop, where we've got a good likelihood of tornado develop with that. The last thing I like to look at are helicity swaths. This forecasts areas of rotation within thunderstorms, and it puts a swath with it. It always changes all the time, but you see the general consensus, these green little swaths can, and in the past, I've noticed this, they can line up with tornado tracks or supercell thunderstorms. They're not very accurate in terms of where they go, but we look for trends, and you notice it's got some pretty good trends of some swaths that go through the region, which would indicate thunderstorms that are a little bit more long-lived that have some rotation with them, okay? In terms of lightning, there's going to be quite a bit of lightning as well. There's, a lot of ice in the atmosphere. It's cold up above us. This model not indicating a ton of lightning, but there'll be enough with any of these storms. And I think that's all I really need to show you. Last thing I want to show you, though, is dew point and temperatures. So dew point, this is humidity. This is how muggy it feels outside. And this is right now, okay? It's a little bit humid outside. It's not bone dry. Your skin isn't like flaking tonight for a change. But notice how quickly this plume of moisture gets here. So by tomorrow morning, waking up, once the warm front goes through with those hailers tonight out east, it's going to be kind of humid tomorrow morning. You'll wake up and feel it. You'll feel it and you'll smell it. I know that sounds weird, but you will. And tomorrow morning, you're going to notice the humidity, and it sticks around all day. It's not going to be like summertime humid where it's, where you're sweating if you go outside, but there'll be added moisture. Dew points up in the upper 50s and near 60 degrees ought to do it. And that's enough to support severe weather. And then notice the bone dry air with dew points below zero flying in here by Wednesday. I mean, this is Arctic air mass versus late spring, early summer air mass. It's just incredible, the boundary that sets up on this. And the final thing I want to show you are the temperatures. Look at the warmth today. Everybody's warm. Everyone's just shattering records. This is just an incredible air mass. It connects all the way with Mexico. That's what makes it so incredible. It's had a couple days to warm down towards the south. And typically storm systems this time of year will come in so fast it doesn't have time to get all the warmth out ahead of it. But this one's had time to stew and bake in a late February sundown in Texas. And then this low pressure is just so massive. And we've got such a strong southwest flow over a huge area of real estate that it's just pulling that warm air mass north. It's incredible how the lows and highs have come together to kind of do this. Okay. So here we go. As we go through time, we're warm tonight, falling probably upper 50s to near 60. And then here's tomorrow. Notice how we get up into the 70s. We should have some sunshine early. And then as this low comes in, here's your temperature crash. So this is tomorrow evening, 7 o'clock. And then by daybreak, we're in the 20s, okay? And during the day tomorrow, temperatures are just going to continue to slide through the low 20s, maybe even upper teens by tomorrow night. It's very brief, as we mentioned in the broadcast yesterday. We're going to bounce right back to warm weather as we get into the weekend. Looks great, but that temperature crash is going to be pretty significant there, okay? All right, so that's what we're dealing with in terms of severe weather. So again, timing on this, tonight, we've got a round of potential storms. I'm not too worried about tonight. Hail would be primary threat with them, though. Thunder and lightning might wake you up tonight. That's with the warm front. All indication is that most of that activity tonight is going to be east of us, so we may not even get rain out of it tonight. But tomorrow's what we watch. And again, anytime, I would say afternoon, we need to turn our radars up. Pun intended. Our antennas need to go up tomorrow afternoon because I have seen these situations speed up, or something develops when it's not supposed to, and it gets things going earlier. So anytime in the afternoon, but I'd really target late afternoon, dinner time-ish on into the evening hours that we really need to watch for any storms that develop. When they develop, they could go severe pretty quickly. We've got enough dynamic in the atmosphere to support, rapid development of these things. And the potential is there that they are not only going to rotate, but they do have the potential to produce a couple of tornadoes around here. Okay. So we'll be on it. I've got no plans tomorrow evening other than to cover this. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that for you. Okay. All right. So let's get to your questions. If you guys have questions, go ahead, throw them in the chat right now. Otherwise, we'll get you onto your either heading home from work, whatever you guys happen to be doing, maybe making dinner. That's kind of where we're going to go from here. Okay. A lot of you asking about time. So I just gave it to you. Hopefully that helps. Justin asked a good question. Justin, I like your question. You think the front will go faster is probably what you meant, and fire up east of us. Tonight with the warm front, I kind of have a feeling that that's the way it's going to go. But tomorrow, no, I don't think so, because that front is still slated to come through tomorrow evening. I don't think it'll speed up much more than that. However, I'm not sold on the fact that storm development is right along the front. I have a feeling it'll be out ahead of it. All right. So I don't think that's going to be the case tomorrow. I do think we get thunderstorms. It just matters how severe. If they fire up right over us and there's not enough time for them to really mature, then the severe threat would be east of us. But we're right in the bullseye with Storm Prediction Center's thinking tomorrow. And that's kind of my thinking, given all the model guidance tonight. Tomorrow morning, we get a new set of fresh data in terms of model guidance. So, that could sway things either way. But we're pretty locked in on the timing as of right now. It's just the development and where is the big question right now. Jacob asks, are we having a tornado watch tomorrow? Jacob, good question. It's too early to tell that. No one plans to have a tornado watch. The threat's there tomorrow for tornadoes, as we talked about. So that's up to the Storm Prediction Center out of Oklahoma to go ahead and issue that watch if they see it. I would imagine we will at some point tomorrow have a tornado watch, but it's no guarantee as of right now. Stephanie asked a similar question to the speeding up. Got that. Krista, hopefully we answer that for you. Chicago Midwest Storm Chasers, what's going on? Don't allow the models to fool you. All cams are over mixing. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting that you're leaning on the wrap. I could see that happening for sure. The herd isn't going to have a good grasp on this until tomorrow, and it usually doesn't have a good grasp on it until things develop. Yeah, the wrap is off the chart. The problem, though, I'm going to call you CMSC, is that, I mean, the wrap can be really off as well, and that's why we need to take a consensus of the models. We have to look at what's happening right now in terms of observations and how that matches up with the models to see if they're maybe off from the beginning. But it's not a winter storm. That's the good news, because a couple times this winter, remember, the wrap was way off. It showed a giant ice storm over us, and numbers have been off the chart. The wrap can overdo things as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it for sure. But certainly am taking the wrap into consideration in terms of that. Steve says, looks like the first official meeting of the Thunderstorm Club tomorrow for sure. We're meeting tonight. We're meeting right now. There's that. Savannah, it's always possible that they don't develop. I mean, we're predicting thunderstorms. Thunderstorms have a mind of their own, right? It's not like a giant line with the cold front that we're tracking. Those are easy because you know the timing of it. You can follow it. Winter storms are a little bit easier as well. Thunderstorm development and exactly where they develop and how strong they get, there's so much randomness to it. I mean, it's chaotic in the atmosphere when that happens. All right. There's updrafts, downdrafts, everything's happening up above us, and not just up above you, but all over Northwest Indiana. So there's a lot of science that goes into it, but there's a lot of science happening above us that make it almost impossible to predict exactly where they develop. So we could certainly see that. Timothy, I don't see large and damaging tornadoes. Any tornadoes damaging, Timothy. But in terms of large, we're not talking huge long track tornadoes tomorrow. The supercell nature is going to be there, so we could have some decent track to any of these that develop. But for the most part, we don't have a ton of cape, and we have a lot of shears, so that would keep them going. But we're talking quick spin ups that could last on the ground for a little while. All right. Do I see any EF4s, EF5s? I don't tomorrow, but there certainly is a good setup for perhaps multiple tornadoes tomorrow as we go through the day. So there's that. Melissa, we will not do another live tonight. We'll have updates tomorrow as needed. I mean, if the weather starts kicking, we're getting on, okay, tomorrow afternoon. And we'll have some updates throughout the morning as well as we go through time, okay? Kyle, 2-inch hail, I could see that. I mean, we could be talking hail golf ball size tonight. 2-inch plus, I'm not too sure if we're going to head that direction. But we could certainly get some decent hail out of this tonight. And the reason why, it all has to stem with cold air up above us. And there's plenty of it. Maxwell, there always is. There's always a chance this could overperform for sure. This is and here's the other problem is the fact that we're off the charts. Okay. In terms of, this isn't normal weather for February, and model guidance tends to think that we still have February-like weather around. All right. Some of the models even assume that there's snowpack on the ground right now. So that's the reason why temperatures today, overperformed. We were up near 70 degrees. The models were saying low 60s, at least last night. So we're overperforming on a lot of things. And so I don't know exactly what's in these giant algorithms, but I hope that they're factoring in the real dew points and the real temperatures into this when they're considering where these storms are going to pop, et cetera. So there's that. Jacob, no, I don't think 1 o'clock, more towards 7 though, for sure. We'll be keeping an eye on that in terms of timing for that. Okay. Let's see. Samantha says local news doesn't seem to be too concerned as of now. They're thinking the main threat is hail. So tonight, Samantha, yes, hail is the main threat tonight. I'm not too concerned about tonight. I would imagine that's what they're talking about. In terms of tomorrow night, though, that's where we're raising our flags up. Okay, is that threat of storms to develop tomorrow? Tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Okay, that's where the tornado threat is. There's not a tornado threat tonight. It's a hail threat, if anything, and we may not even get storms tonight. So. Tom asked an interesting question. Have you ever forecasted severe storms this early in the season? Tom, yes, I have. I have forecasted severe weather this early in the season. This is not unheard of, okay? This is typical of El Nino winters. especially late winter once we start to play with warmer air. Severe weather season can be any month now. It really can. That's what I've seen a change in, Tom, is that I've forecasted more November and December severe weather events, I think, than I have before over the last, 5 to 10 years. And then, February, especially late, if it was early February, I'd say, yeah, this is kind of rare. But I mean, we're almost March, and March is a severe weather month because we have warm air to play with. We're finally warming the atmosphere down towards the deep south, and that warmth can be tapped into with the pull of a low pressure. So this isn't out of the ordinary. This is pretty incredible, though. Don't get me wrong. It is rare, but it's not out of the ordinary. I don't know if that counteracts itself. But this temperature drop is going to be huge, too. I mean, we're going to go 73 degrees tomorrow afternoon or so, and then we're going to drop back into the teens 24 hours later, and we're going to have a real sharp drop in a 4-hour window once that front goes by. So pretty incredible stuff there. Janice says there's sandhill cranes flying over Valpo today, headed south. Wow, it sure is crazy February. I've heard all sorts of birds flying all over the place. I don't know if you guys know, I did a report on this last year, how migratory the Great Lakes are. Lake Michigan, Lake Erie especially. Birds come from all over the world, like Southern Hemisphere, the equator. They fly north and they rest before flying over the lakes. They rest on the shores along Lake Erie and Lake Michigan, right here in the region. The dunes is a huge place for bird watching. And there's different birds that are coming all the time on their flights. It's incredible. Anyway, that blew my mind when I heard all that. It's like 1,200 bird species or something fly through here, something crazy. So there's that. Jenny, yes, this threat will stretch over to South Bend. South Bend, Jenna, to your point or question, has a better threat for those storms tonight than we do here in Northwest Indiana. South Bend's kind of central Indiana in my mind. But either way, the storms tonight with the hail potential, with the warm front itself, you have a higher potential there of seeing them than that we do here in the region. And then tomorrow, the threat extends for all of Northwest Indiana. So I agree with the Storm Prediction Center's outline. You can see it there. The yellow shaded area, it's not slam dunk, but it certainly is a threat. That's where your threat's going to be. It includes almost all of Indiana tomorrow. And there's your tornado threat, all right? All of northern Indiana is in it tomorrow. Big question is, where does this stuff develop tomorrow? Okay. All right. No, that's okay. Oh, very good. All right. Well, be safe driving. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Again, that's our update tonight. This information will stay fresh all evening. I'm not expecting it to change. And then we'll start, it's game on tomorrow. We'll have updates for you as we go throughout the day. So just stay tuned. Make sure you're plugged in. Okay. There's ways to subscribe to get alerts. A lot of you do this, but whenever we go live, you would get an alert on your phone. And phones are going to be crucial to have tomorrow. Just, worst case scenario, just make sure your phone is charged, not just tonight, but tomorrow as well. Keep your phone charged, just in case we get kind of nasty around here and we lose power, stuff like that. Okay. I don't want to go over the top with alerts or anything like that. But I just want us to be ready and we'll get through it together tomorrow. Okay. Hopefully it ends up being a big nothing burger. That would be awesome. And we've seen that before, but hopefully that's what happens, but atmosphere is certainly ready to go tomorrow. Okay. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Okay. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join me. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Okay. All right. Be safe, everybody.